Hello chat, it's me again. Today's topic that I want to talk about is character design. Now, I'm not to fault my own horn or anything, but I'm actually not a professional. I'm just a guy on the internet that likes to draw and also spin their OCs around in their head, like those rotisserie chicken from Costco. This is my personal guide on how to make a decent character design. I'm guessing this is for those who want like a honest to god like guide to a character design. First off, we're going to start with how I made my sona. Now, I'm not the best example, but I'll tell you how I designed my sona personally. Also, for clarification, what I mean by sona is just the artistic representation of the artist themselves deep down. Artist, I don't care whether you're like Leonardo da Vinci, reincarnated himself, or a baby who just picked up a pen, or secret, more sinister third option. I honestly just didn't think about it that much, but that's probably the beauty of it. Sorry that wasn't the answer that you were looking for. You can hear me out. For me, I just took the two things that I really like, angels and butlers, or maid butlers, because they can have all the gender for all I care. For angels, from a non-religious standpoint, I'm not getting too deep into that, but I think they're cool. For maids and butlers, I have a very deep and personal connection with them that no one understands. That just means I just really like them. So I just merged the two together. I kind of went wild with it, but because it's me, first of all, it's the artist, the one who made their OCs. And I haven't made, or just birthed them actually. They took my DNA. But what really helped me though, I would say making sonas with your friends. Make a story with them. Go wild with them. Make it dramatic, entertaining, do whatever. Making an established setting with your sonas can really help narrow down what kind of design, or rather what clothes you want them to have. Same goes for OCs, but we're gonna get into that later. Now for me, I don't really pay much attention to story in my sona nowadays. I know some people do have stories for their sona, some don't. These were all just a little silly. For example, my sona was the butler who made a pact with an angel to set a prince born from the ashes. That was scrapped though, I don't really care about that anymore. Then they kind of just turned into like a comical situation of a fallen angel sent to go serve the most debauched kingdom ever. We're gonna break down elements of my sona. Perhaps that will probably help you. If not, I'm sorry. For the hair, if you look closely, it does have like little designs of city buildings, well, of stars and raindrops. Or teardrops. I will admit I have not figured that one out yet, but I guess that's for interpretation. I guess it's supposed to be some kind of reference to Starry Night, since, you know, it's art. And I'm gonna be real here, I think it's cool. I'm not the best person to be giving out this sort of information, since most of my stuff is I just think it's super cool. I think every perspective counts. The hair overall gives like a more somber look to it, because my sona just look like a sad, sobbing, pathetic owl. There's also the hair shine. The hair shine used to be a trait in my art, but I stopped doing that. Sometimes it's just the survival of the fittest when it comes to art style growth, but it kind of just stayed with my sona. It's meant to be like a halo, just infused with the hair. I guess just to let you know, like, this blows the foul of heaven. Speaking of which, before I move on, quickly on art styles, my sona is drawn differently from my OCs. Just to separate me and them, because 1, they're not real. 2, I'm me, like they say, cogito ergo sum, or whatever. And 3, they're in my head. Not in an insane way. As you can see, there's a lot of wings to it. The ear wings, this is gonna be a bit off track, but my biggest pet peeve is when artists draw characters with animal ears, like I guess cat ears, and like, they keep their human ears. I mean, at this point they could probably hear colors for the amount of ears they have. Those greedy bozos are hugging all of the ear game. I can't even ear anymore because of all the sweat. I just thought that non-human characters, they should stick to 1 pair of ears. What's the reason of having them 2? What are you doing with those? For the wings, like at the thigh or neck, but look here. Look at the tailcoats. There's another pair of wings there. This design is supposed to be based off of a seraphim. There are 4 pairs of wings. You silly Billy. To avoid that plot hole, and it just means I'm lazy, I just made one of the wings a fake one. And the rest, not too special. I just made a simpler butler design. Take inspiration from your favorite fictional butlers. One thing to remember is to never be afraid to take inspiration or references from your favorite media. And shout out to Maid Butler from Duke Enders. They're my life and soul. They are the backbone of everything. Back to character design, but for OCs. First thing I do before I scavenge Pinterest or any other site is figure out the world that they're in, and also their role. For the world, is it like cyberpunk theme, medieval, modern? Where is the story focusing on? Before I continue, I know I'm mostly influenced by Hoyoverse games, Genshin, Makasaro, CCZ, maybe even Honkai Impact. Also Arknights, Kumi Stars. There's also Reverse 1999, but designs are peak, so I won't really lump them with other games. But you know, all the games where the women are very prevalent and who their game revenue is very dependent on. Now look, I'm all for pretty attractive women. But if you're gonna make a scientist character or a doctor, make their designs practical. No scientist is going to do a lab experiment in a revealing shirt and short miniskirt. For love of chat, please cover up. And I'm also talking about that one Magical Girl manga. What will happen if they fail that lab safety quiz that science classes always make you take? And their skirt may be short, but their license will be cut shorter if they keep wearing clothes like that. Same goes for female warrior characters. I feel like you know what I'm talking about. I don't have very specific references, but you know what I'm talking about. But we're also getting too ahead of ourselves. I do get it. Companies, they need money, and Gooners will make them money. But it's tiring. Some Gooner designs are they're just not it. If you want to make a Gooner character, go for it. But at least make the personality interesting and backstory compelling. Back to what I'm saying. Their role would really help narrow down what kind of clothes they'll wear, like their occupation, or if they're the protagonist, antagonist, or something sinister in between. What I also consider is their personality traits. Like, are they shy, are they cunning, or are they like brave? Okay, put it this way, a shy character would not wear skimpy clothes, like things that would reveal everything. Athletic character would not wear baggy clothes that cover every single part of their body. That makes them look like a Discord mod. Details, details, details. That's all I ever hear when it comes to designs. But I know I'm someone whose designs are pretty much inspired from the Hoyoverse games. In my OC designs, they're complex, at the least. It's all in the art style and what's comfortable for you. In my opinion, my style is more dependent on details. It makes my art style like more, full, less awkward and empty. It makes it more complicated is probably one word. There are also artists with more simple art styles, which would require less details, but that doesn't make it any less compelling. You can have a character with a very simple character design, but very, very compelling. Like Hatsune Miku. More details do not mean good design. And speaking of designs, I've made a redbubble. That's right. First sponsor of this channel is in fact me. I'm the one sponsoring this video. So hop onto Redbubble. I've got your favorite Honkai Star Rail characters like the guy, my wife, and Silver Wolf. There will be more to come. If you can't buy anything, that's really, really understandable. The least you can do is also share it if you can. Anyways. Color palette isn't something that I consider very much on my priority list, but I think it's still important. Artist to artist, I don't really put much thought into it. Like I said, I'm probably not the best example to be taken from. I would want something that would reflect their personality in some way. Let's take Vinsanto, my OC. Her color palette leans more to more dark, desaturated colors, and the use of green and red that gives her more of like a snake look to it. But it's pretty much her character, after all. Gives her a sense of mystery and say alluring. The green just gives her more of a snake look, and the red brings out more. At least that's my reasoning for it. Same can be said for Croden. He has a dark color palette, well, dark and also somewhat light color palette with like the grays and black. But red is also a color that stands out. So it gives him more of a somber, sad, wet owl look to him that others find endearing. But I'm also making everything up, because it's also an excuse to make everyone perceive my OCs. I'll lend you guys a little secret, but I use OnStar cards for colors sometimes. Here's an example. That is my son, by the way. Unique traits is something big if you want to add something to details, and also the silhouette. We're gonna take Rigel, for example. If you only focus on the silhouette, you can tell it's him. As people know that it's him, you just met him if you've never seen him before. But also, I can tell because that's his fox ears and his tail. Not to also mention the pose, but body language is also good to consider. Traits can range from things like wings, and kind of body parts like I would say also prosthetics. Animal parts like tails or ears, like a unique hairstyle or Hatsune Miku, by the way. Anything to make the silhouette stand out. I would go more in depth with like shapes language, like how triangles be like villains and circles be like the good guys. But I'm not that smart when it comes to that. Like I said, I'm not professional. I'm honest to chat kind of guide. Something important is to also draw them in multiple angles. I know I don't do this. I'm a victim of laziness sometimes, but there were definitely times where I was drawing an OC from a different angle. I think to myself, man, they're kind of ugly in a not very endearing way. Like not a, aw, they're so ugly kind of way, but ew kind of way. Definitely try to draw them from like the side, the front, and back to make sure they also look consistent. Editing cast here, I forgot one major factor, but it's also to like check the proportions and how also like check how many elements are on each side of the person. because one side's gonna look more cluttered than the other, and it's not gonna look really right, because maybe there's gonna be some accessories that look bigger and take up more space on one side, and the other side just looks empty. You want to make sure that things look even or look balanced in some way. Most importantly, get other people's feedback. If you have artist friends that can give you their perspective on your design, you can only go so far on your own. I think that's kind of it.